Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jaded Blossom, and it's time for the December challenge, and it's all about tags. Hey, so I'm using Jaded Blossom's brand new Build an Ornament die. I'm using that little piece there, and that little and the little branch. Oh, Christmas tree stamp set. They're rounded tag dies, they're luggage tag dies, they're layered frame and journal dies, they're stitched hexagon dies, they're diamond dies, they're heart dies, they're stitched circle dies, and the scalloped circle dies. And I also use the scalloped ovals. So first I cut out the tags all out of Paper Trank white cardstock, and then I cut out the branches from Basil Bling and Green. And you'll see that I cut these branches down, and I'm going to apply a piece of branch to each tag using my Barely Art glue. Now all my die cutting today was done with my Anagraph Empress machine. Today I'm working on my glass mat. It's one of those magnet ones. It's pretty nifty. It was a gift and I'm loving it. You'll have to let me know if the video's bright enough. I was having trouble with lighting, so I don't have my overhead light on. So let me know in the comments if it's too dark for you. But anyway, so I am just going to keep on adding these branches onto my tags. So you'll see that I use the normal luggage tags, and then I use the rounded tag dies. And I'm just going to be applying these branches to the top of each one. Now you can weight them down with an acrylic block, or you could use, a magnet if you're using a magnetic mat. And then you'll see on my last couple, I'm just going to use some leftover pieces and make them work, right? Remember, these are just tags for gifts. I'm giving you the permission to make some quick tags here. Everything, it doesn't have to be rocket science. Everything doesn't have to be perfect, right? These are tags for your gifts. So I thought I would just make 8 quick tags and show you how I do it. So, and this is what I do. And I tend to use up a lot of scraps when I'm making these little items. And so it's just a great way to use up your scraps to make some tags. So you'll see that I'm using my reverse tweezers and that Barely Art glue, and I am weighting down the pieces here. And I will add in some more of those branch pieces that were trimmed off from the other ones. And no one will know but you and me, right? I'm just trying to add some greenery here. And then I'm going to cut up these last couple of pieces and add them to my little branch arrangements. And then I'll show you how I went about making my ornaments. I did not use the Build an Ornament dies to use the big ornaments. I literally just used that set for the hanger. And you'll see what I do here. But like I said, not everything has to be, some amazing work of art. These are utilitarian tags for Christmas. And, people that aren't crafty like us are going to love these tags. So now there we are. And now what I do is I trim off that overhang with a pair of scissors. So I just sort of go through quickly and trim off all the overhang. And, just along the edge of that branch. Now you'll see in the upper right-hand corner, I took all of those little pieces from all of the dies that I mentioned. And I cut out scraps of Doodlebug paper. I used Candy Stripe and Sprinkles and Dot Stripe and Dot Grid Daisy Stripe and the Let It Snow 6-inch pad. And I cut out all the little shapes using those, shape dies that I'd mentioned. Okay, and then I'm going to be using those for my ornaments. So next I'm going to stamp the to and from. I used the Oh Christmas Tree stamp set, but there are a few stamp sets in the Jaded Blossom repertoire that say to and from. Use what you have. And I'm using my VersaFine Claire Nocturne ink and my Misty just to get that stamped on each and every ticket. And once you line them up, you can just stamp at assembly line. So these are all of the little tag or little die shapes that I cut out. You could even use a punch, right? But since you're making tags for Jaded Blossom, you might want to pull out some Jaded Blossom shapes. And I'm going to be pulling out, this is some foam tape that I have. I believe this is from Close to My Heart. I thought I would try and use these up. So this is some old foam tape rolls that I have. And I'm going to be adding on my little shape. And then I will add on the little topper from the Build an Ornament die. So that's the hexagon dies there. And I'm going to be making a little ornament out of it. So I'm just trying to get it centered and straight. Whoops. Using my Barely Art glue. And that's Recollection Silver Mirror cardstock. And I'm just going to line that up. Here is a cute little ornament, right? And I'm going to keep on doing this to all the ornaments. So you'll see that I just literally put foam tape on the back. This is the scalloped oval die. I believe that's the smallest one. And I'm just going to have that on my tag, and then I'll add my little hanger. And as you can see, you can make any shape into an ornament using that little hanger. So next here, this is, I believe, a heart die. This is a fun one. I'll just get it, in place. Then I'm going to add on my little hanging hook there with my Barely Art glue. So it's lots of fun. This is Jaded Blossom Stitch Diamond dies. Like I said, I used paper scraps from Doodlebug for all of these. This is a big diamond. So we're going to add that in place and then add my little hanger at the top of that little diamond piece. There we go. And isn't that fun? And it's super easy and fast, right? So this one here is from the Layered Frame and Journal die, I believe. It's kind of fun little tab. And then I will add on the little hanger on top again. And like I said, these things don't have to be, so artistic and well thought out. This is literally a tag for your Christmas gifts. So, show us what you got. So there we go. So this is a stitch circle die now from Jaded Blossom. And then I will add on the little hanging topper. There we go. Super fun and easy. There, just trying to get it straight is the hardest part, right? Now this one is Jaded Blossom scalloped circle dies. So there, it's got a fun scallop shape, and then adding that little topper piece again, or hanger piece. There. And then this one is also from the Layered Frame and Journal die. So it kind of looks like a teardrop. And that paper is actually from the Let It Snow Doodlebug pad, but I just used little scraps of pattern paper, and I'm going to pop on that little topper or hanger. So now this is when I'm going to bring in some fun shape sprinkles from Doodlebug. So I'm going to be using shape sprinkles, Winter Wonderland, Snow Colorful. Those are both snowflakes. And I'm going to decorate each and every one of these with a snowflake. And trying to get it in the center or bottom center. However, whatever will look better. And I'm just going to pop these all in place. I've got my pen blades just so I can pick them up off the acetate. And then I'm just going to add these on. So like I said, this just adds a little bit of shine and fun using some leftover shape sprinkles. Now you'll see to the right, I have shape sprinkles that are called Christmas lights. And I'm going to be adding a few of those Christmas bulbs in my little tree branch as well. Just for fun, and why not, right? So I'm adding these on really quickly. So this will give you a little bit of shine and add, make your ornament look a little bit more special, because really I just used a shape die for that one, right? So I'm just popping these all in place. And once I get them done, then you can see how I plan on embellishing these a little bit further. So just getting on these little snowflakes, and there we are. Now I'm going to pull out, these are called Christmas lights. And I'm just going to add 3 to every branch. And, pulling out colors that will go. They don't have to match perfectly, right? These are Christmas lights after all. I'm just going to snuggle those into the branch. And there we go. We've got 3 little Christmas lights. And I'm going to do the same thing to each little branch. And like I said, these don't have to be perfect. These just have to be homemade, right? For you, for your little gifts when you wrap them. There. Now, I don't know about you. Are you a bag person or a wrapping person? I like to wrap my gifts, although I do have a few bags, when I bring a hostess gift, it tends to be wrapped. or in a little bag. All my home gifts at home are all wrapped. So now I'm pulling out, this is ribbon. It's from Celebrate It ribbon from Michaels, and it's just white and silver Christmas ribbon. And I'm going to use my Bow Easy, and I'm going to tie some little bows. And I'm all thumbs when it comes to tying bows, but a Bow Easy makes it easy. And there we are. And I'm just going to do that for each of my little bows. And for this one, I used some Barely Art glue, but for the rest of them, I pulled out my hot glue gun. It makes it a lot easier, and you don't have to wait so long for it to dry because, you know, I am kind of impatient when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to clamp this little guy in place. Next, I'm going to pull out little strips of this ribbon. I'm going to feed it through each tag, and there we go. And this is what it looks like. So that's what I'm going to do to every single one. Now you could easily tape this to the top of each of your little gifts, right? So it kind of sticks out from underneath your ribbon on your gift. And there we go. And these are all of my fast little tags. So make sure you come and play along with our challenge over at the Jaded Blossom Garden of Creativity on Facebook. You can link it up in the albums. We would love to see what you make. Thanks, everyone. See you soon. Bye-bye.